Good morning, Year 3, and welcome to your reading lesson. So the date today is Thursday, the 28th of January 2021, and your learning objective today is to apply your vocabulary skills. Okay, so our activity is a bit different today, and it's not a quiz, it's a Teams assignment. But don't worry if you can't access that, because you can also do it on paper. I'll explain how in a moment. So normally I have all of these things uncovered and we read through them, but I thought you could test yourselves this morning. So I want you to think, what skill are we doing? That's quite obvious if you look at the learning objective. What is the definition of the skill? What questions do we normally see using this skill? And how do we become successful in using this skill? So pause the video now and just either think, or if you've got somebody with you there, have a little discussion. Okay, let's see how you did. The skill, of course, is vocabulary. What's vocabulary all about? It's to understand the meaning of words. What type of questions use this skill? Could be find and copy a word or phrase, could be replace a word. And how are we successful with achieving this learning? So it helps to underline the word in the question, use root words, prefixes, suffixes, similar words to support the understanding, and to try other words in its place. Now this is what we're focusing on today, because you will actually be replacing words in the Iron Man story with words that have very similar or the same meanings. Okay, so here we go. You will really be putting your vocabulary skills, knowledge, and understanding to the test. So we're going to read the next part of the story, and then you will be replacing the highlighted words and phrases with synonyms. So if you would like to read along with me, let's begin. One evening, a farmer's son, a boy called Hogarth, was fishing in a stream that ran down to the sea. It was growing too dark to fish. His hook kept getting caught in the weeds and bushes. So he stopped fishing and came up from the stream and stood listening to the owls in the wood further up the valley and to the sea behind him. Hush, said the stream, and again, hush, hush, hush. Suddenly, he felt a strange feeling. He felt he was being watched. He felt afraid. He turned and looked up the steep field to the top of the high cliff. Behind that skyline was the sheer rocky cliff and the sea. And on that skyline, just above the edge of it, in the dusk, were two green headlights. What were the two green headlights doing at the top of the cliff? Then, as Hogarth watched, a huge dark figure climbed up over the cliff top. The two lights rose into the sky. They were the giant figure's eyes. A giant black figure, taller than a house, black and towering in the twilight, with green headlamp eyes. The Iron Man. There he stood on the cliff top, looking inland. Hogarth began to run. He ran and ran. Home, home. The Iron Man had come back. So he got home at last, and gasping for breath, he told his dad, "An Iron Man! An Iron Man, a giant!" His father frowned. His mother grew pale. His little sister began to cry. His father took down his double-barreled gun. He believed his son. He went out, he locked the door, he got in his car, he drove to the next farm. But the farmer laughed. He was a fat red man with a fat red mouth laughed. When he stopped laughing, his eyes were red too. "An Iron Man, nonsense," he said. So Hogarth's father got back in his car. Now it was dark and it began to rain. He drove to the next farm. That farmer frowned. He believed. "Tomorrow," he said, "we must see what it is, this Iron Man. His feet will have left tracks in the earth." So Hogarth's father again got back into his car, but as he turned the car in the yard, he saw a strange thing in the headlamps. Half a tractor lay there, just half, chopped clean off, the other half missing. He got out of his car and the other farmer came to look too. The tractor had been bitten off. There were big teeth marks in the steel. No explanation. The two men looked at each other. They were puzzled and afraid. What could have bitten the tractor in two? There in the yard, in the rain, in the night, while they had been talking inside the house. The farmer ran in and bolted the door. Hogarth's father jumped in his car and drove off into the night, and the rain as fast as he could homeward. The rain poured down. Hogarth's father drove hard. The headlights lit up the road and bushes. Suddenly, two headlamps in a tall tree top at the roadside ahead. Headlamps in a tree top? How? Hogarth's father slowed, peering up to see what the light might be. Up there in the treetop. As he slowed, a giant iron foot came down in the middle of the road, a foot as big as a single bed, and the headlamps came down closer. And a giant reached down towards the windshield, the Iron Man. Hogarth's father put on speed. He aimed his car at the foot. Crash! He knocked the foot out of the way. He drove on faster and faster, and behind him on the road, a clanging, clattering boom went up as if an iron skyscraper had collapsed. The iron giant, with his foot knocked from under him, had toppled over, and so Hogarth's father got home safely. But next morning, all the farmers were shouting with anger. Where were their tractors, their earth diggers, their ploughs, their harrows? From every farm in the region, all the steel and iron farm machinery had gone. Where to? Who had stolen it all? There was a clue. Here and there lay half a wheel or half an axle or half a mudguard, carved with giant tooth marks where it had been bitten off. How had it been bitten off? Steel bitten off? What had happened? There was another clue. Okay, so quite a lot happened in that section of the text and quite fast as well. Okay, so your task for today is to replace the highlighted words with words or phrases that have the same or similar meaning. So if you have access to Teams, this is on an assignment, and what you need to do is just click on it, click on the text, and just retype, delete the word and retype. Okay, so I've replaced edge with brink there, just for an example. So one evening, a farmer's son, a boy, what can I replace called with that would have the same meaning? Named Hogarth, okay? So make sure the sentence makes sense. Sometimes you might need to add a couple of words. That's absolutely fine, okay? But if you're doing the assignment, that's what you'll do. If you don't have access to Teams, that's absolutely fine. Let me just change that back. What you can do is literally just write out the words that are highlighted, okay? So you'll have this on your screen. You can pause this in a moment. So number one, you would just write out called. And then you would replace it with your chosen synonym. So as I said, it would be named, okay? And then you'd find the next one, ran down to the sea. Now it's really important to read in context, because if I saw ran there, I might think, oh, jogged. That's a synonym of ran. But does that make sense? Was fishing in a stream that jogged down to the sea? No, okay? So you have to read the word in context. Don't just go in and think really quickly, oh, there's this many words. Read through the story again, okay? So if you're doing it on Teams, you can pause this video now and the text is there. You just change the highlighted words, okay? If you find that too tricky, or you can't access Teams, then just do number 1, the original first highlighted word equals, and then your replacement. Okay, so it is quite a tricky skill today, and don't worry if you can't think of a replacement for all of them, just do the ones you can. Okay, I know you're going to do really, really well on this. And if you need to use Google or a dictionary or a thesaurus to help you at some parts, that's absolutely fine, because the more words you know, the better at reading and writing you will be. Okay, so have fun with this activity. I can't wait to see what words you come up with. Take care. Bye.